Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, Life Odysseys. I'm Bobby. Maggie, she's laying over here being lazy here. Let me show you. Look at her. Ball of fire, ain't she? What a life. Anyways, hope everybody's having a good day. Before we get started, would you please subscribe, like, share, give it a thumbs up, and most definitely leave a comment. It's very important. It helps my channel grow. Wanting to get those subscribers up in the air and all the videos. I want everybody to watch the videos. That's why sharing's real important. I can't say it enough. But today, I'm going to talk about failing sixth grade. That's right. I failed sixth grade. Wasn't too proud of that. But what do you say, right? But the reason for it wasn't that I wasn't doing what I need to do while I was in school. It was because I just missed way too much school. Racing and Dad racing and Gary racing. That would have been the fall of '77 and the spring of '78 when I was in sixth grade. So, hard telling how much school I missed during the fall. And, to be quite frank with you, racing was the excuse, but I hated school. I didn't like school. School was boring to me. There was certain things that I learned that was important to me, and then there was some things that just absolutely was not important to me. Now, you can say, well, I don't know. Maybe you'd have been better off if you'd have liked school and went through school and learned all you could learn. That could be. But I'm in a happy place. That's all that matters. The definition of success is different for people. And my definition is to be able to do what you want to do and when you want to do it. You don't, money's good and all, but you got to be able to do what you want to do. And that's the position I'm in. And I'm glad I'm in that position. Not to get off the beaten path, but I don't go anywhere. I pretty much stay here where I live in eastern Kentucky. The closest Walmart to us is 45 minutes. So I don't really get out much, and it doesn't bother me a bit. We have this, me and my daughter have this Life 360 thing. I think that's what it's called. And I can get on there and see where she's at, and she can get on there and see where I'm at. Well, I get on there and check, I don't butt into Brittany's business. I just get on there to check, see where she's at. Hell, I'll see her going places, and then it's got a little thing on there that shows that she's walking. Well, I guarantee you. Well, I don't know. Maybe she could see on there, I'm walking here on the property. I don't know if she can or not. But I can guarantee you that she can get on there 99.9% of the time, and I haven't moved. Haven't been nowhere and it's in the same place. Now, some people don't like that or couldn't do that, but I'm perfectly fine with it. But anyways, getting back to the main story. So I missed all this school in the end of the year 77, 78 school year. And that's the reason why I got held back. So in the spring of '78, I remember the USAC scheduled, and Gary was driving then. Dad wasn't driving anymore, but '78 was the year Gary was running for the championship. And USAC scheduled a race at Ontario Motor Speedway. I don't remember the dates. It's really unimportant, but they scheduled a race at Ontario Motor Speedway. And then the very next week, they scheduled a race at Texas World Speedway. So when we left home, we was already going to be gone a long time, figuring all that travel. So, and back in those days, those two trucks, the fastest they'd run would be 72 miles an hour. And that's it. So, you know, yeah, you're going down the road, but you're not really no speed demon. I can remember riding across Texas. I got almighty, it just seemed like it took forever to get across there. If I'm off a little bit, I'm off. It really, I'm just trying to make a point that it's a long ways across there. But I'm pretty sure from Springfield to the Texas line, which is what, Texarkana, is the way we went, is the same distance it is across Texas at the longest part of Texas. Um, if I remember right, some things get burned into your head, right? And I remember seeing the mile marker getting into Texas. I'm almost positive it was over 1,000. The mile marker was over 1,000. So you can only imagine riding across there. And there ain't really a whole lot to see. If I remember right, the western part of Texas to me was a lot more prettier than the eastern part. But one particular thing that happened to us was Dad was always he was horrible about, I don't know why, but he was horrible about running the truck he drove, running it every last drop of fuel out of it before he would stop and put fuel in it. And sure enough, and it happened more than once. But on this particular trip, he ran out of fuel in the middle of Texas, right? So there we sit. So me and Gary, we was in the other truck. And I know I've said this before, but one we called the hauler, and that's the one Dad drove. That's the one that you could drive the car up on the back of the bed. It had a Baker body on it, if anybody remembers the Baker bodies. And the other one had a box on it. They were both the same kind of truck, Ford high tilts. The hauler had a little bit bigger motor in it than the van. We called the one with the box on it, we called it the van. I don't know why we called it the van. It just got called that. But it's the truck that hauled all the tools. It had like a regular machine shop in the back of it. All them, the truck and both trucks was all made that way back when Dad started running USAC and AJ Foyt was driving for Dad. So it had everything in it that you needed to have to fix something while you was at the racetrack. So the van had all that stuff in it, and spare parts and gears. Well, the gears went in the hauler. It had a specific drawer cabinet on the hauler that had gear. You could slide the gears in it, in the pans. It had a place where you could slide the nitrogen bottles and stuff in it. But anyways, so we took a racing can, 11-gallon racing can, me and Gary did, and drove to the nearest truck stop and got fuel in it and brought it back and put it in Dad's truck. And so then, of course, it's just not going to start right up. Then you got to sit there and prime it, get it going. So we'd finally get it going and continue down the road. But I don't know why he was like that. I don't know. It just was. And on those longer trips, Dad would like to break things up a little bit. He'd stop at like Indian jewelry places and stuff like that along the interstate or whatever to try to break the ride up, and that worked. That helped too, but still, it's a long friggin' way. And then driving clear to California, gee whiz. So we get to California to run the USAC race out there, and I don't know why, but they scheduled that damn race during the wet time of the year out there. I don't know. They have a particular name for it. I don't know what it is, but it was wet. So they ended up canceling that race. Then they rescheduled it for the week after the Texas World Speedway race, which was the following week. So we had to drive from California to Texas World Speedway, which is in College Station, Texas, or was in College Station, Texas, for the USAC race there. So we travel all the way back east to Texas and run the USAC race there. So then, load up next morning, start headed back out to California. So now you got to figure being gone like that for Dad and Gary wasn't that big of a deal. But for me, like being in school, the days they add up. They really add up. So we go back to California, run the race, and I wish I knew how Gary did. But Gary, other than one race at Texas and the California races and stuff, he had run good, but didn't have any luck. It was like me, like at Michigan or Atlanta. It was just and he didn't have no luck at Atlanta either, but just no luck. You'd run good, but no luck. I do remember him saying no at California, Ontario. He'd be racing with AJ, and AJ'd come over and tell him afterward. He said, "Man," he said, "Man, you can get through the corners really good." Well, he could, but he just didn't have no. He was getting beat down the straightaways by AJ, but he couldn't. He had AJ beating the corners, but you can't. Not to get off the beaten path. You race like that all day, it ain't gonna work out. It just won't work out. So, anyways, to go back out to California and run that race. So then, on the way back, Dad decided to stop in Dallas and put me on an airplane to fly me home. So that's what happened. I got on an airplane in Dallas by myself and flew back home. And then in the process, they was making their way back home. So I don't know how many days of school I missed. You can figure it out. It was a lot. So fast forward to the end of the school year. My teacher in the 6th grade at that particular time, she was a good teacher, but she was kind of mean. She'd come up behind you and squeeze your neck real hard if you wasn't paying attention or if you was acting up a little bit in class. And she wouldn't even walk back there deliberately to come to you. She'd just kind of wander around the classroom, while she's talking. Then all of a sudden you're sitting there, and all of a sudden she starts squeezing your neck, and she won't say nothing. And you knew that she knew that you better straighten up, right? So, of course, you can buy a figure. My neck got squeezed quite a bit. It got squeezed by it quite a bit. The problem with myself was I wasn't like a troublemaker type of kid. I was just ornery as hell. I mean, I've said that before in other videos, just plain ornery. And to be honest with you, I'm still that way. I really haven't grown out of that. Christine gets mad at me all the time for certain. I'll pull tricks on her or whatever. I don't know. Maybe this is too much information, but like, just for instance, the other day, I don't know what I had, but I took this label off of I don't even know what the hell it was now. And I went in there and peeled back the toilet paper roll and put this label in there and then rolled the toilet paper roll back up like normal, right? Well, sure enough, it wasn't very long. I hear these cuss words about like Dad cussing the son, like, "You got some boys," she wasn't happy. It wasn't no big deal, but she just wasn't expecting it. And I'll do that stuff all the time. Still to this day, I do stuff all the time. I guess I'll never grow out of that. Who cares, right? I don't care. It's fun. I guess it is what it is. I mean, there's other stories too that I'm going to tell in the future about my orneriness. But anyways, getting back to the school thing. So come towards the end of the year, USAC was running a race at another race at Texas World Speedway, and that's where Gary won the 500 miler USAC race there in Texas, and that was right at the beginning of June. So, but the school year, I think it was running a little bit late because we had too many snow days or something. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. So I can't remember if I had said something to the teacher about me going to the race, in Texas or what, but the teacher wanted the phone number to talk to my dad. So she called, and they talked for, I don't know, it seemed like a long time. It probably wasn't, but it seemed like it. And he gets off the phone and he says, she told me that if you don't go to that race, you've got a pretty good chance of passing. But if you go, you're definitely going to fail. So he paused for a minute, and Dad, the problem with Dad was whatever he said, you could probably take to the bank because normally it was true or it would can't come true. And that was what's funny about Dad. You pretty much take whatever he come out of his mouth, you could pretty much bet on it. That's what's going to happen. So he paused for a minute, and he says, he laughed a little bit. He says, I'm going to tell you right now, you might as well go to that race because she's going to fail you. So that was the end of that. Well, I didn't go to the race because of what he said she said about if I didn't go, I had a pretty good chance of passing. So I didn't go. And I wanted to go. And Gary won he won that big USAC race down there, so I missed that. If I had to do over again, you can bet your bottom dollar I'd have went. I would have went because you missed that. I missed it, and no matter what you do, I can't be there now. So it's all done and over with. All I can do is look at pictures. So I didn't go, and she held me back for a year. And, Dad says, "Well, I told you, you might as well have went because she was going to fail you." So that's the reason why I got held back a year in sixth grade. Yeah, I wasn't too happy about it. Yeah, it was on my own fault. Just missed way too many school days. I mean, there's no way around it. You just you got to go to school. But to repeat myself, I hated school. So yeah, I got held back a year. So all the kids that I knew, I was a class behind them, which that was a bummer. But I met a lot of new ones too, in the other class that I ended up in. A friend of mine that we met in middle school. His name's Bill. I'm not going to say his last name. We became friends in middle school, and still friends today. I mean, when I call him on the phone or whatever, I'll say, "Hey," I'll call him a name, all kinds of names. Say, "How you doing there, MFer," or something like that. He'd laugh and he'd call me Jack, and his wife, she'd call me Jack. Hey, they might think that's funny, but I don't think it's too funny. My name's Bobby, not Jack, but I get what they're saying. But anyways, we've known each other for forever and ever. And, we've done a lot of stuff together, priceless stuff. Yeah, he's been to the races too. He was at Flat Rock when I won my first ARCA race in Flat Rock, Michigan, in May of 1990. He was there. I asked Bill to go to a lot of races, and I wish he'd have went to a lot more. But I understand. Maybe I didn't understand then, but as you grow older, you get wiser, and you understand how people are, or how things were, or especially like with Dad. It took me a long time to figure out why Dad was the way he was, and he was going to be that way no matter what. But Bill didn't go to a lot of races because he had other commitments. He was working and stuff, and it just don't happen as easy as you want it to happen. But he was there that night, see me win my first one, and we did a lot of things together. We rode together in the van going to Daytona back and forth like in the 80s. Just never got tired because it was constantly laughing about something. But anyways, I wanted to make this video to let you know that I did fail sixth grade, and I had to be held back a year. But it all worked out. It all worked out. I'm me, I guess. Man, I hope you guys enjoy these videos. I mean, as they go, I'm sure sometimes I'll overtalk about stories I've already told, but it kind of leads into other stories, and it's all good. But if you guys would please subscribe and like, give it a thumbs up, share, leave a comment. Man, leave a comment. I mean, if you don't hear right back from me, I will answer you. But I love to read comments. So please do. So for this one over here, look at this. Are you gonna do anything today or not? You just gonna lay there or what? Yeah. So for me and Maggie, to everybody out there, I hope you have a great day. Be safe out there, and me and her, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.